intro on Netflix, and then I'm going to go through innovation, culture, inclusion, user research, and testing. I know that's a lot, but that's what it takes to get to the level of companies like Netflix. And I'm going to give a quick intro into the line. Like you said, I've been in product design for about almost 20 years now. I've had 3 startups. One of them was Dwyer, the design agency. I was at Coursera, which is a leading online education platform. I'm big on education. I think that's how you make the digital divide smaller, and that's how you change people's lives. So it was great working there, helping people learn. And then I'm also a VC, and I've also worked with advising other startup companies as well on how to grow their product and grow their users. So if any of you ever want to chat, please hit me up. But before I get started, quick pop quiz to see how much you know about Netflix. How much did Netflix try to sell the Blockbuster for in 2000? Guesses? No guesses? 25? It was actually 50 million, which is small compared to how much Netflix is worth now, which is 168 million. So Blockbuster, they could see the future coming of DVDs, VHS tapes not being as popular and the internet being the new streaming platform. So they turned down that deal, and now there's only one Blockbuster store left in the United States, and that's just the museum. And Netflix is global. Question number 2. How many hours did subscribers watch Squid Game? C. 2.1 billion? Close. No, actually 1.56 billion. And if you do that, that's about 750,000 years of watching content. That's how popular Netflix was. Squid Game was for us. How old is Netflix? 26. Somebody did their homework. Yes, 26. Last year was our 25th anniversary. This year we turned 26. What was Netflix's original name?
Also C.
Replay? No. Kibble, which is dog food in the States. I don't know why nobody has told me the answer to that one yet, but I always pick D, direct hits is what I thought it would be, but it's actually Kibble. And then question number 5, what year did Netflix start streaming?
Write it down.
2007? 2007, that's good. 2 out of 5. There's no prizes for this, but I just like to get the crowd warmed up with these questions to see how much you know about Netflix. So let's dive in. So for those of you who don't know, Netflix is a streaming platform that allows users to connect over the internet, on their TV, laptops, smartphones, gaming systems to be able to watch all kinds of content. You can watch horror, you can watch anime, you can watch TV shows, movies, documentaries, whatever you want, wherever you want. And you don't have to watch the commercials, or you can watch the ads. We introduced the ads platform to be able to bring the price down, to offer a cheaper way for users to get access to Netflix, because we understand that Netflix is a very expensive platform for certain parts of the world, where instead of us saying, oh, well, you just won't have Netflix, we got into the ad space, and now that's another way for us to bring in revenue for the company, but it's also another way for us to grow our user base across the world. So we are a global company. We have about 240 million subscribers. The United States is our biggest market at about 67 million. And we're in 190 different countries. There's only about, I think, less than 10 countries on the planet that we're not actually in. And here in Turkey, we have about 2.7 million users as well. So Brazil is second, and then the UK and Germany, France. And then after that, it kind of tails off, but there's another about 10 or 15 countries that have about 8, 7, 6, 5 million users. So we do have a large, diverse audience. Now, how did we get to that? I'm going to give you my perspective from the product side, and I think the first way that we get there, that we got there, is through innovation. We have over 1 billion total devices with the Netflix NRDP downloaded to them. And NRDP is our Netflix Ready Device platform. So whenever you open up Netflix on your phone or on TV and you click on the Netflix icon, the software that you're running, that's NRDP. We're really proud of that number, 1 billion. To think of that many devices have our software downloaded on it, that means that we're doing something right. But the thing that I think we're doing right is we're focusing on not limiting Netflix to one specific platform. The fact that you can watch it on any smartphone. You can watch it on any TV, any PC, and certain gaming systems. That has allowed us to really infiltrate the market in different areas. We know in certain parts of the world, for instance, Africa, there's not a lot of smart TVs, so we have to make sure that we're there on mobile. But in the United States, there's a ton of smart TVs, so we have to make sure that we're viewing on smart TVs. So the fact that we as a company put the time in to allow users who can watch Netflix on a device this small to a TV this size shows how much time we put into making sure that we build a great experience for all of you, because we want everybody to feel that the Netflix platform is for them, not a certain region or a certain market. We have over 522 million users log onto Netflix from a smart TV every month. So this is our biggest platform for users, but of course we want mobile to eventually take over this space. But right now, smart TVs are really important for us. A way that we're able to be on this many TVs is the partnership deals that we have with the TV manufacturers. So if you think of Samsung, if you think of Sony, you think of Vizio, you open up the apps and you see Netflix already downloaded on there, that gives us a massive advantage for keeping these users on the platform and bringing in new users. So you have to think of ways to grow without only focusing on paid advertising or something like that, because every time somebody opens up the Netflix app on their TV, that's advertising for us, even if they do or they don't have a Netflix account. DVDs. This is how we started. Mailing DVDs all over the world. But as of, I think it was Thursday, we completely stopped mailing out DVDs. So this is technically the end of an era for us, and we moved all the way over to being all streaming. One interesting fact that I found out is most of the users that were still using DVDs were more of our older demographic that really didn't feel the need to upgrade to a smart TV, or they might not have had fast internet, or some of the titles that we had on DVD we couldn't get on streaming platform. So we still had about 2 million users a month that would use the DVD platform, but when you start doing the logistics of how much it was costing us to house the DVDs, how much it was costing us to pay for shipping, how much it was costing us to pay the staff that did all of that stuff, it just wasn't smart for us anymore. So we sadly had to let go of the past and move forward to the future. That's why I talk about invention, talk about innovation. That's one of the best ways to grow your business, always thinking about the future. Video games. Most people don't know that Netflix is in the video game space now. There's a lot of video game producers here, and we're in the video game space with about 70 plus iOS and Android games. They're all included in your service, so you don't have to pay more for them, but you do have to have a Netflix subscription to access them. There's many reasons we got into the video game space, but a lot of people ask questions of, well, won't that cannibalize the streaming side? And we completely do not think that. What we do want to happen is users who watch Netflix decide to move over to the games to stay on the platform. The first goal of the games is retention. When people ask us, who's Netflix's competition? Are we worried about Amazon? Are we worried about Disney? Are we worried about YouTube TV and all these other streaming platforms? The answer is yes, a little bit, right? But our biggest competitors are actually platforms like TikTok, platforms like Instagram, cable TV, and just regular life of going outside. So we're always fighting for your time, and we're thinking, well, if you're already on the platform watching a movie, and then we know the popularity of the gaming industry, and we can make games out of our already existing IP, like Queen's Gambit, or Stranger Things, or Narcos, it's almost like a win-win for us. We're still very new in the space, even though we've only been in the gaming space for about 3 years now, but we have 70 plus games. You're gonna see us release more and more and more. Right now, these are all casual games, but the goal would be in the future to grow the platform to be able to actually handle robust games. And once again, as far as innovation goes, something that we're working on internally is being able to play on your TV and use your phone as your controller. So how do we keep thinking of ways to grow the platform and bring value to you all? That's the number one thing for us, is value. You'll continue to pay for your Netflix subscription as long as you see value in it. So only offering streaming is just not enough for us. We got into live content. So as we stop the DVDs, we're now moving into the live content space, which now opens up a ton of opportunities for us. We did a comedy special with Chris Rock, who's an American comedian, and it did fantastic for us. It's not that we're trying to move into the linear space like cable TV, but we're trying to, once again, offer more value. Doing live allows us to do events like comedy, it allows us to think about sports, it allows us to think about reality TV. We did have a reality TV event. It didn't go too great, but you know what? That's what happens when you're getting started in a certain space. So we use that to learn from, but we're really excited about live. So stay tuned to be able to not only watch on-demand content, but watch live content. So, 100 million. Who knows what this number is? 4, just guess. 100 million was how many households around the world were sharing their Netflix password. So when you think of that, like if you say each household has, let's say 2 people in it, that's 200 million people sharing that could be paying for the platform. Now, we've always known this, but once the coronavirus launched, we as a company made an ethical decision to not enforce password sharing because we knew how important Netflix is for the world and it would be for the pandemic. And it was really important. And we're glad that we did it that way, but once the pandemic slowed down, we realized that it was time for us to figure out how to implement stopping password sharing. And we came up with profile transfer, which now allows users who have a Netflix account that are sharing to be able to get a new account, but you don't have to lose your algorithm. You don't have to use your playlist. You don't have to lose your history. People's playlists are so important for them. To think of having to erase all that and start from scratch would have been a major deterrent for people wanting to move to get their own Netflix account. So by us doing profile transfer, we now successfully rolled out password sharing. We first launched it on TVs, and then we are now moving over to the mobile space. People might not be the happiest about that, but at the same time, Netflix is a business. And we took almost 3 years doing this because we wanted to make sure that we did it right. And we had so many different use cases that we had to think about while doing this to make sure that we didn't really turn anybody off of the platform. So profile transfer is live now, and I was one of the leads on this project, and it took about 200 people to try to roll this out. So some of the projects at Netflix are huge, right? But I think your company can still follow the same principles that we follow. I don't think you have to have 200 people to be innovative. I think you have to have that in your mind of your workers, as well as always thinking about what's important for your customers. And I think that goes into culture. I think culture is the most important thing for any company, to be honest with you. I think culture is more important than innovation because with the right culture, you'll always be innovative. But with the wrong culture, you won't be innovative, you won't be successful, you won't be anything. And I think one of the things that I love the most about working at Netflix is the company culture. Our core philosophy is people over process. Our CEO wrote a book about it. I suggest all of you read it, whether you're a founder or not. It just really lets you understand how Netflix was able to build such a game-changing company that actually went the complete opposite way than most of the other companies in the startup space. And we value a lot of things like encourage independent decision-making by employees, share information openly, broadly, and deliberately. We're extraordinarily candid with each other. We keep only highly effective people, and we avoid rules. It's just not like an annual wow house, but it's more of, if you have a good idea, we're going to support the idea before we try to stop it and put different things in place. So everybody has responsibilities, but we also go to work every day feeling like we have the creativity and the freedom to be the best designer, product manager, engineer, content designer, whatever role you have. Being able to have that kind of freedom when you're at work every day just allows you to bring your best self to work. So we also support and empower the team. We are super autonomous culture. Sometimes I can't believe how much work I do on my own freely, but then I also love the fact that I can talk to all of my coworkers about feedback. We have a strong feedback culture. Like if you're the one on the call not answering questions, somebody's gonna probably ping you to ask you, are you okay? Because you don't seem like you're that involved in the conversation. We want everybody involved in the conversation all the time, because that's how we build the best product. We farm for dissent, which means there's no yes women, there's no yes men. If you pick something, you have to be prepared to get some tough questions back, because at the end of the day, we want to build the best product for Netflix that we can, and that comes from us asking these tough questions and pushing, really pushing everybody. And then the last part that I really think is super important for us is the resources. Because we're a successful company, we have the resources to be able to do a lot. Now, I know there's some smaller companies in the audience, not the size of Netflix, but resources are resources, and you gotta know how to use them. Because even though we have a lot of resources at Netflix, if I don't know how to use them correctly, then they're gonna be wasted. So I think the same thing goes at your company. Really trying to understand what's important and what your team needs to be successful, and just applying them with that, whether it's the ability to talk, whether it's more staff, whether it's on-site, off-site, all these things contribute to your workers being happy to be able to build the best product. Team diversity. So I like to show this image because this is pretty much what my team looks like. All of us are individual superstars that have our own power that will all come together to solve these global problems for Netflix. My team for password sharing was over 100 plus people, whether it's product managers, front end, back end, research, design ops, data scientists. All of us come together all the time to be able to make sure that we're asking the tough questions and we're thinking about all the different levers and things that go in to making sure that Netflix stays running and stays at the forefront. I don't know which one of these I am, but I could be Incredible Hulk. I like Incredible Hulk, so maybe I'm the Incredible Hulk. So cross-functional communication, super important for us. I mean, we talk all the time about everything. There is no working in the silo at Netflix. It just doesn't happen. There is no designer go do design and then just give the engineer at the end of the day. No, the engineer knows what design is working on. They work on solutions together. The designers work with the program managers. The product managers work with the designers. It's like one big ecosystem constantly working with each other, because without that communication, most likely something's going to fall through the cracks. And something falling through the cracks at Netflix can end up costing us hundreds of millions of dollars. So we really don't have the ability to make that type of mistake. So we really push communication, whether it's email, whether it's one-on-ones, whether it's Slack, whether it's Loom videos, whatever you need to do, you have to talk to your teammates. Inclusion. Inclusion is another super important thing. I know I'm saying everything is important. That's because it is. Inclusion is really important when you think about trying to grow to be a company with 240 million users. So how do you get to that point? By designing for 7 billion people, which is everybody on Earth, but also designing for each and every one of you. So when we're working on things, we're putting ourselves in your shoes. How would somebody in Istanbul use this? How would somebody in the States use this? What about somebody that's in Africa with slow internet? What about somebody that's in Asia with a vision disability? We're constantly thinking of every possible thing, because what's most important for us is everybody in the world feeling like their Netflix experience is personalized, is tuned for them, and that's what allows them to want to keep coming back. So those critical things are how we keep our customers happy and how we keep them subscribing every month. So also, global content. This is one of the most important things for us. This slide is just a slide of some international titles that are Turkish-based. How can we possibly get more Turkish customers if you don't have Turkish content? How can we get more Asian customers if you don't have Asian content? So we started as a US company with a lot of US content, but as we've grown, we understand the importance of the international community, and we understand that the international community wants to see content that they can relate to. People that look like them, speak the language like them, go through things that they go through, as opposed to us just saying, hey, only watch American content and be happy with it. So you'll see more and more international content coming to the Netflix platform. Like I said earlier, Squid Game is a South Korean title that every other streaming platform passed on, except Netflix. And now, I'm sure every streaming platform is so jealous that they did pass on Squid Game, because look at how big, that was like a cultural phenomenon. And that's how important global content is, and that's what we're gonna keep supporting it. We support many different languages on the platform. We actually support 62 languages in our titles, and we support 38 plus languages in our subtitles, and we support 33 languages in our UI. This is a quick example of a design that I did for our Android redesign, but this is all in Japanese. Now, do I speak Japanese? No. Do I write in Japanese? No. But do I have to worry about Japanese? Yes. I have to worry about all 33 of those languages with every single design I do. There's no just, oh, this is only going to be in English. Because we're a global company, this is something that we're always worried about. So how do we solve or keep this type of stuff in mind? We created our own, almost like our own language, our own font. It's called Pseudobook. And what it is we understand that the English language only has 26 characters, but if you look at our letters, we don't have any accents, we don't have any of those extra things. But when you translate to other languages, you see these other languages have that. So we have to think about that. But now, we don't want to do 33 designs each time. What we want to do is do something in English and then use Pseudobook to see what it might be in Turkish, what it might be in Spanish or French, because you can get a slight gauge on where things are just based off that. Here's an example of that. So here's one of the very important screens for us on TV. This is how we move you from getting your own account, from password sharing. This design looks great. Let's ship it. Send to engineer, right? Wrong. When you translate it into Pseudobook, you see how this design got broken. This could possibly happen in any of those 33 languages. So we can't have you realize this when you open up Netflix. This is gonna make you feel like Netflix did not think about your area. So what we do is we run every design through Pseudobook, and when we get something like this, I now have to go back to the content design team or go back to the engineering team and work with them to figure out how do we fix this. Here's another example. Super important screen. It's the payment screen on TV. You can't afford to mess this screen up. Look what happens when you go to Pseudobook. This doesn't look like a screen that somebody could maybe read, and then depending on the size of your TV, it may get confusing. So what we do is, I take this, I decide, should you decrease the content on platforms like TV? You don't really have that much space to be flexible with. Even though it's a large platform, you don't really have that much space, but just having Pseudobook allows us to never ship something that would have a language other than English feel like we didn't think about them. And that's why I say inclusion is so important, because if we're going to grow to be a global company, how if we're not learning about all our users? User research and testing. This is probably one of my favorite parts of my job, is the user research part, because what does user research mean? It means talking to you all. I spend so much time talking to Netflix users. Actually, in 2 weeks, I have about 2 weeks of calls that I have to do all over the world, actually, because I need to hear from you all to understand your pain points, and I also need to understand what you think about certain ideas. Here's some quick stats. 375 research studies across 55 countries. 3,000 participants for 190,000 plus minutes of qualitative conversations. We talk to users on over 200 plus titles. So by us getting in front of our customers and talking to you all, that's how we know what you like, what you don't like, what to switch, what to change. And I don't think without this information, we would ever be able to keep everybody as happy, because what we would be doing is making assumptions from Silicon Valley, and I think that's probably the worst thing we can do, because everybody's different. So instead of making decisions for you all, why not get in front of you all and ask? Here's another quick example of, these are some user research calls that I personally sat in. The slides before were my overall team. These are ones that I did. So I sat in US, Australia, Thailand, Brazil, Poland, and I learned so much from these calls. I learned that Australia and New Zealand don't get anything alike, even though they're so close to each other. It's almost like they have nothing in common. But if you don't talk to people, you don't know that. You start to use your generalization and say, well, they're so close, they probably think about things the same way. Wow, we learn so much from these research calls. And also, these are a mixture of qualitative and quantitative, means we do a lot of talking to you all, but we also send a lot of surveys, because when you think of the surveys, we can scale those more. That's easier to get to 100 million people, where it's pretty hard to do 100 million in focus groups, but definitely not in surveys. So in my last 3 minutes, I want to walk through a case study with you. So this page is the landing page for Netflix on your TV. And this is what you saw on Netflix for over 15 years. And it was a great page. It worked for us. It got us to 150 million users. But you know what? At one point, it stopped working. And that's my team's job, the monetization team, the growth design team, to figure out, well, why is this page not working? How are we going to find that out? By talking to you all. And what did we find out from you all? That when you got to this page, even though it's simple and easy to use, you had a lot of questions. And those questions were critical enough that by you not having those answers, you didn't sign up for the platform. So we were getting millions of people to the page every day and not converting them. So what did we decide to do? Create a video that we think can answer all the questions for you. But how did we get there? Internal researching between us, design team, the product team, the research team, understanding what should our pitch tell people who haven't signed up for Netflix before? How should we tell the story of Netflix? We got together and we generated 5 different concepts, and we wanted to try to figure out which of these concepts may resonate the most with users. Something for everyone, unlock Netflix, anytime, anywhere, freedom, this is Netflix. 5 concepts, we were all happy with the 5, knew that only one could be picked, but now it's like, how do we pick that one? So we did one small round of research just to figure out were we heading in the right direction. 2 days, talking to 10 non-members, and our goal wasn't to find out from the users whether or not they were excited. It was more about which concept resonated with them, because we need the concept to resonate with you so you can now have the questions answered to want to actually hit the blue button and sign up. So we got to concept B and E were the ones that did the best on the test, but then we figured we should do one more concept, which was concept Z, that focused just on our content. Concept Z was a lot cheaper than concept B and E to produce, and it felt like it was more emotional. So these are the 3 that we went to test with, and here's an example of what a test at Netflix would look like. This is a lot of cells. We don't usually put this many cells in a test because it starts to get confusing on which one actually had an impact. But because this was such a big global test, we had no choice but to try to put as much in it as possible, as well as 6, 7, 8 was more focused on the UI, the UX, of what happens after you watch the video. So let me see if I can get this to work. This is the audio. This is an updated version of the video that we have. There's an audio track that should be playing right now with this. And the brilliance of the audio track is we were originally going to have voiceovers, but we realized that the voiceovers may be too expensive, too hard to produce. Certain areas we want to hear a male, certain areas we want to hear a female, and because of that, we didn't use a voiceover, we actually used our internal team to build a custom track. But we also wanted the video to answer all the questions that we had. So we would have questions around, is there content for me? How quick can I sign up? Can I watch on multiple devices? So this video answers all of those questions for our users. And 2 small things, it's super dynamic. Every thumbnail in this video is loaded through our algorithm and can be translated into 33 languages, as well as every piece of text can be translated into 33 languages. So you don't need a designer to update this video anymore. The first version of this video, I had to do all of that work, me and my team, but moving forward now, we just talk to the engineers. Everywhere this video is actually opened up is localized for them. So when you open this up here in Turkey, you will see Turkish titles, and the text will be Turkish. If you open this up in Spain, it will be Spanish, you have Spanish titles, and this is how you build a platform that makes everybody who uses it feel inclusive. The results of this video, about 30 million extra a year in incremental revenue, because instead of losing those users, we were signing them up. And this is an example of why we spend so much time on projects, or why you spend so much time on user research, inclusion, because at the end of the day, if you want to get a win like this, you're going to have to check all those boxes. Thank you. This is the end of my talk. I wish I had another 30 minutes and so much more I want to talk about. I'm writing a book as well. So feel free. But also, the most important thing though is, here's my information. If you ever want to talk more about design, if you have more questions about Netflix, if you have questions about startup or advising or anything like that, let me know. Thank you so much, Istanbul, for inviting me here. I hope you enjoyed my talk, and have a good night. Thank you.